And she nervously does. And I'm just like, dude, modern day Carol would fuck you up for that.
Modern day Carol would throw you in the fire
Yeah.
and
That's right.
stamp
Here,
on
I'll
your
put it out with
corpse.
your face.
Yeah, literally.
And the whole thing about, this ain't no comedy club and all that. And
That just reminded me if there's a Sheryl Crow song that starts with this, it ain't no country club neither. And I'm just like, oh, that's great.
and Andrea does her second great thing here. She confronts Ed. I tell you
Yep.
what, you don't like how your laundry's done, you're welcome to pitch in and do it yourself. And I'm like, yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's awful to her in response.
Yeah, I don't even want to repeat what he says.
Is that the C word, what he calls her?
Yes, it's the other C
Right.
word that means the same thing.
Okay, I'd never heard it before. It must be one that we do not have here. But yeah, terrible.
You should start saying it and see if anyone else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Hey, Coos.
Oh my God.
So Jackie mentions they've seen bruises on Carol and just, trying to pull her away, and Ed smacks her and Shane just starts beating the shit out of him. And I guess we already kind of talked about all that. He was already on a hair trigger because of Lori dumping him.
Mm-hmm.
We already talked about all that through. All right, what do you got next?
What have I got next?
Anything else?
Just having a look. I've written just the search for Merle. Is it moral? Is it the right thing to do? But I think it's quite a bit. I mean, so the show goes to some really dark places with morality and what is right to do and what is wrong to do and so on and so forth. But it starts with quite a doozy because this is a difficult one because Merle is a piece of shit. He is terrible. We know that in later seasons nobody would go back for him. And yet Rick does make a valid point that nobody deserves to die like that. Although Rick, I found this quite interesting because Laurie's obviously pissed that Rick wants to go back. But Rick comes up with 3 different reasons to go. He's like, it's Merle. Oh, wait, no, it's Morgan. Oh, wait, no, it's the guns. No, it's still Morgan. And I'm like, which one is it?
Well, I think he's trying to bolster his case, not saying this is why, but there are more than one reason why to go back.
Yes.
So, you know what I mean? It's the guns, it's getting the walkie-talkie so he can warn Morgan not to go into Atlanta, which is a big one. And
he can talk to his friend.
Merle. Well, he says it's because he knows Morgan was going to follow him to Atlanta with his child, and Atlanta's a shit show. So
this is where the timeline blows my mind because that was yesterday. In the show, he said bye to Morgan less than 24 hours ago. Whereas to me, I'm like, huh? What? Morgan? Oh, right. Yeah, Morgan, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I like it. I think I don't blame Lori for being upset because they have a kid. That's where my mind goes. You're going to risk your life for this asshole. And what if you die and then your kid doesn't have a father anymore? I guess I'll go back to Shane.
I don't really understand how Merle got off the roof because the chain was still on the door. Did he rechain it? Sure.
Maybe he shimmied down a pipe or something.
There's probably a million Department of Suspension of Disbeliefs about what he could have done other than cut his own hand off, but it's kind of cool. So
yeah.
I'll let it fly.
I agree.
It's worth it for Daryl's. No! Oh.
Yeah. I mean, that's the Daryl is more. He's so pissed off this whole episode, and he's more expressive than we see him later on. And I think they changed his character. It doesn't feel like a natural evolution that you would start off as this guy who's just and then you'd change to be more smoldering. I don't know, but this really colored my impression of Daryl the whole time, that he just flies off the handle, but he kind of does sometimes, but it's in a different way. He vocalizes more here, that he's more emotive.
This is his biggest, until Rick and Glenn maybe, this is his biggest loss, and he gets it kind of out of the way early, so I wonder if it's you have to get completely broken down to be built back up. So maybe from that, I don't know. I know what you mean, though. I'm not trying to. I'm not like, no, it's completely.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Fine. I think it's a bit of column A and a bit of column B.
Yeah. But so Merle, I thought this opening was great.
It's a good opening.
To himself.
Yeah.
He's just delirious and recounting this story where he punched out someone's teeth, and it's just like, such a sad man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I guess he was in the military. He says, "You heard me, you pussy ass non-com bitch." Non-com, I looked it up, as a non-commissioned officer. "You ain't deaf. Take it up the chain of command." So he's talking about the military, and it landed him in the stockade, which is like military jail. And I'm like, why is he telling this? Maybe because it was a time he felt powerful and he's not feeling powerful right now. Or maybe I'm just thinking about it too much, but his life is clearly full of conflict and trouble. And then he realizes where he is. He's so delirious he'd forgotten, and he's like, no, no, no. And then when he starts praying to Jesus and crying, and the Zeds start breaking through the door. "Oh, Jesus, I didn't behave. I know I'm being punished. I deserve it. I've been bad." That gave me a feeling of sympathy, which I think is why this scene is there. So that when we see Rick struggling with whether to go back, we're not just like, "What? No." We're like, "Oh yeah, maybe." You know what I mean?
You are like that. I mean, and like the burn on his head from the sun exposure, like it's proper gross, like proper horrible.
And then Rooker does such a good job at it too. I think he's brilliant.
You know how you joke, you're like, they just let them improvise. I do think for that scene they might have just let him improvise. I'm like, yeah, they're like, just ramble,
Make
do
up a
whatever the fuck
story.
you want. Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's great. Really, I watched the episode twice. I think I skipped the scene on the second one because I'm like, oh god, it's so horrible. His head, he's so upset. Oh yeah.
And then I think it's kind of funny that when he's saying, "Show me the way, tell me what to do, Jesus," and then he sees the saw, which is like a sign, but then he's like, "Oh, wait, I got this idea on my own. Never mind. Silver Cross boy, I ain't beg you." He's like, gets an attitude about it. I'm like, fuck Merle, come on.
Oh man, he is truly the worst.
And then going back for Merle, well, first off, in the car on the way back from Atlanta, Morales can see Rick is upset, and he goes, "Best not to dwell on it. Nobody's going to be sad he didn't come back," which is harsh, but yeah, Merle was going to rob them. Let's not forget that. And threaten to shoot them. But then he's like, "Best not to dwell on it. Nobody's going to be sad." Oh, except for his brother. It's like, well, that's kind of an important detail. And that might be another factor in why, they let him go back, because if not for Daryl, maybe there would have even been a bigger pushback on it.
Absolutely. No, I believe that. It's much easier to put it to the back of your mind if there's nobody there to remind you.
Oh yeah, another reason he gives to go back is to get Dale's tools. And I'm like, damn, Dale's stingy with the tools.
Dale's like keeping a tight tool library there. He's like, "Well, son, the last time I gave tools to somebody, they didn't come back." And I'm like, "Oh, all right, holding a grudge there."
And when I first watched this, I was such a big fan of the Walking Dead comic, and they were fresher in my mind. So I was sort of looking through that filter of which characters I liked in the comic, one of which was Dale. But now I've kind of forgotten a lot about Dale in the comic. It's just more vague. And so I didn't like Dale as much this episode. He's okay.
Controversial opinion that I might backtrack on. I like Dale more than I liked Herschel. Herschel always felt like a cut price Dale.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Jeffrey DeMunn's a really interesting actor for one thing. But yeah, I wish Dale had stuck around longer.
Yeah, because he does in the comics a bit, doesn't he? He's there a little longer. Yes,
he's basically Bob. He's the one that gets his leg taken by the cannibals and then says, "You're eating tainted meat."
Tainted meat.
So then Rick volunteers Glenn to come with him, which is a running theme with Glenn. He just keeps getting volunteered for things. He doesn't really want to.
But I liked that he did it because, like, I'd feel safer if you were there. I don't know if that was just him talking shit to get Glenn. No,
I believe it. I believe
but I like that. I think he sees Glenn's
showing respect
potential a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, it's like
Glenn looking at his car. Vultures.
Yeah. And then on the roof they find Merle's hand, and I think this might be the most emotional scene we've ever seen with Daryl in his first episode, maybe.
Yep, it's all repression from here, folks.
That's right. All right, what else? Anything else?
I'm just looking through my notes. I'm doing handwritten notes for this rewatch, which is interesting for me because it makes it harder to search through. Yeah, I like that Rick is introduced as Helicopter Boy.
I know.
Because he leaves as Helicopter Boy, so that makes sense. Carl saying that he's not worried because nothing's killed him yet is quite cute, if a bit disturbing.
Everything with Carl's disturbing because Carl dies, and that's wrong.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think it might bum me out more than Glenn.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I don't know, thinking about it because it's just so. I'm like seeing how happy Rick was when they got reunited, and I'm like, that's all he wants is this son.
I think it bums me out more than Glenn too, even though I like Glenn as a character a lot more. It's just the main character and his son. It feels like they're supposed to make it through.
It felt like the heart of the show got ripped out
Yeah.
a bit
Yeah.
at that point. Thankfully, Judith was
Yeah,
a
she
great
helped.
substitute.
Yeah.
But yeah, Glenn saying he got a cool car. I got a cool car. I really like that line. I think that is it for me. I have my usual IMDb dive, but aside from that, I'm out of points.
Okay, let me go through a couple more. So
Go
some
for it.
Glenn stuff. Glenn coming in, whooping it up with the alarm is very stupid, and it's kind of ridiculous that he
no one
wouldn't
stopped
know
him
that.
earlier.
Well, that he wouldn't know because the whole plot of last week's episode was that the sound drew the zombies in and trapped them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of a flub there, honestly.
Mhm.
And then walkers do show up. In later seasons, they'd be coming up in numbers right away. But I think, later, then we see this walker, Greg Nicotero, eating the deer, and Dale says, "Oh, they don't usually come up here." And I'm like, "Well, there was the alarm blaring, it's
fucking massive alarm."
And when he's like, "Well, it's bouncing all around, so they won't be able to pinpoint the location." Yeah, but they'll be coming to this general area, and that's not good.
And they're so close to the city. I always forget that in this. I'm like, oh shit, they're actually not far. Like, you can see the skyline, which feels now very unsafe, but then probably felt safe because you're nearer civilization or whatever.
Yeah. So this is all some Glenn stuff. So they're stripping the car Glenn brought, and he's all upset. And Dale just says he goes, "You vultures." And Dale says they need the gas for the generator, which, by the way, are also noisy, unless maybe they could put it in a plywood box or something. But anyway, I'm like, but why do they need all the other car parts? They don't really explain that. I guess they have a reason.
They're running some kind of dodgy tool thing. I don't know.
Yeah, what is going on?
Swindling. Something's happening here. It's Breaking Bad, but it's Jim and Dale.
Right. There needs to be an investigation.
Yeah,
we have
really
two cops here. Get on it. And when Glenn drove up and Dale's like, "That's a stolen car," that's kind of quaint to think of cars as something you could steal when everybody's dead.
Yep.
On this show, they just take whatever car they can find. And then Rick says maybe we'll get to steal another car someday.
Do they ever, though? I was trying to remember if that ever happens. I feel like Rick and Glenn do have adventures, but I don't know if they ever steal another car.
Well, they're in cars, I think, and they're all just, nobody bought those cars. They just took them.
They're all technically stolen cars.
Yeah, it's the same thing as with this car. The owner's dead. In the comic, by the way, it was revealed that Glenn used to steal cars, which I feel like is way out of character.
Interesting. I'd forgotten that.
All right. What about IMDb trivia stuff?
IMDb trivia stuff. Well, first of all, Apocalypse timeline, we're day plus 61. So Rick woke up 2 days ago. Nothing is happening in any of the other locations that we will visit later. Some of the timeline starts to fill in with like at this point in Woodbury or at this point in the Commonwealth, but we haven't had any of that yet.
Rick woke up 2 days ago, and Lori, and the day after he gets to the camp, Lori's like, "How'd you sleep?" And he goes, "Oh, better than I have in a long time." And I'm like, "You liar! You were just asleep for like 2 weeks.
You were in a fucking coma, man. You were literally knocked out, dude." Okay, so IMDb, Greg Nicotero plays that walker.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first appearance of Daryl and Carol. There are only 2.
Do you see? What did you say? Say that again.
I don't know. I said something about zombie kills. Moving on. There are only 2 zombie kills in this episode. The second season of The Walking Dead was commissioned just before this episode aired, before it had been aired. So AMC was, I don't know, making good decisions at that point. A lot of the camp is filmed at Bellwood Quarry, Atlanta, which you may also recognize from Stranger Things. There's scenes from that are filmed there also. This is the last appearance of Merle before he reappears in season 2's Chupacabra as a hallucination to Daryl, and then in season 3's Walk With Me, when it was revealed he made it to Woodbury and has been living with the governor. Not as a couple, but just so,
as far as we know.
Yeah. Some small factlets there from IMDb, which I thought were quite neat.
Great. I pretty much just have notes left.
Do it.
Should I go through? Okay.
Yeah.
I noticed T-Dog is still referring to the zombies as geeks, and that's one thing I totally didn't remember. They were calling them geeks actually more than walkers early on.
Mm-hmm. Glenn calls them geeks as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. Rick says, for a while I was trapped in some kind of coma dream, something I might not wake up from ever. And I'm like, you might still be, Rick.
You might. We still, you know.
Could still do that. Rick puts on his sheriff's outfit to go get Merle. I thought that was interesting. He was wearing that early. Like, that's just maybe, I'm trying to think why, like, he feels like this is his going out to confront dangerous things outfit that makes him feel more capable. Maybe he wants to come off more authoritatively towards others too. I don't know. It's kind of silly.
I was like gobsmacked he put it on over his t-shirt. I was like, are you not boiling? I was like, at least take the t-shirt off. But, you know, whatever. I know for some men, they don't like to sweat through their shirts. So give the women more washing to do. I don't know. But yeah, interesting fashion choice.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if we see it, but Shane has some bullets he mentions for Rick's Python, which that's his iconic gun that he always shoots at a weird angle. He holds it up like this.
Yeah, the four bullets. Four men, four bullets.
4 men, 4 bullets. Boom. I have a replica of that gun. Jenny doesn't like that I have it. It makes her feel very uncomfortable because it looks real.
I'm with Jenny on that one.
But it's part of my Rick costume.
Sure.
And also, if I ever want to freak anybody out in a grocery store.
If you ever want to hold up your local coffee shop, you can be like, hey, it's a gift. It's a gift. No, a toy.
Let's see. There's, the whole thing about washing clothes in this episode. And I'm like, later they seem to decide not to do laundry at all because they're all dirty.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I barely iron. In fact, I don't iron.
I don't
Carol,
iron.
I mean, who takes a freaking ironing? Anyway, yeah, I don't iron.
That's funny. In the Z age, come on.
Ironing in this economy? No, thank you.
She does it when she's nervous. I forgot about all the, I guess, cicadas or whatever they are, cicadas. You hear a lot of insect sounds in the background early on.
I associate that really strongly with being like abroad because you don't really get that in the UK because it's not warm enough. So I associate that with being on like warm holidays or in North America, hearing that.
I'm thinking about fear and how people always describe their own personalities and read their character cards, I always say, and they don't do that here, thankfully. They're talking like real normal people for the most part. There's a lot of subtext. The writers let the acting do the work. I just wanted to make note of that.
Yes.
It's clearly better, which is a low bar, but
agree with that.
A couple of other things. Daryl honks the van horn a few times, getting impatient, wanting to get to Merle. And I think later Daryl will never do that because it's sound. It would attract the walkers.
He kicks it with his foot to set it off as well. He's like, hurry up.
I liked when Andrea said she missed her vibrator. And then Carol, I thought, looked uncomfortable, like maybe she was offended by that, and then she goes, me too, and that was a funny moment.
I think that's our first glimpse of like real Carol, is that little glimpse. And the women are so cute with her, like they're all laughing and stuff, and even though it's gendered as fuck, I really like that scene for the community that they have with all of them. It's very sweet.
And then last, a little bit of my personal experience with Norman Reedus. When I did panels with him, he always was very attentive to listen to what I was saying, tried to figure out exactly what I was getting at and answer thoughtfully. He always nodded hello when he would see me in passing, like back behind and everything. So he was a nice guy. He was more quiet, but he had a good vibe to him. And he was a fun interview on the podcast too, if people feel like going back and listening.
I need to go back and listen to that one. Yeah.
Obvious threat to untold numbers of citizens. The people it kills get up and kill.
Are they slow-moving, Chief?
Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up.
This is a Walking Dead Cast news update.
So, New York Comic Con happened recently. I think last month there was a Walking Dead panel. Somebody asked whether the events of the 3 Walking Dead spin-offs, Dead City, Daryl Dixon, and The Ones Who Live, would culminate in a single climactic story, and whether that story would be told in a revival of the original Walking Dead or through a different sequel show or what. And Gimple said, that isn't specifically planned. It would be good, though, to see. The dream would be that these shows somehow converge in some way narratively. And then they said, what about bringing The Walking Dead back to life for a season 12? And he said, I'm not against it. So
interesting. And quite straight answers from a man who famously talks a lot of word salad. So
yeah. I mean, it sounds like, I'm guessing he didn't want the series to end. Oh, actually, I don't know that for sure. But I would love to see the show not just peter out, but have some kind of a conclusion that wraps up all the storylines,
I would like that.
No offense against Peter. I should think of a different phrase.
We're all going to peter out at some point.
It's the best. All right. What else? Cast member Manish Dayal, who was in The Resident on Fox recently, has been announced for Daryl Dixon season 2. Per Deadline, Dial will play Ash, an engineer from Boston who moved to the family weekend house in Maine after the onset of the apocalypse. Ash lives by a strict schedule based mostly around his daily flights in a retrofitted single-engine plane and mysterious visitations to his backyard greenhouse. So that sounds like there's stuff going on in the U.S. Maybe he'll have something to do with Carol. Get him to France.
Maybe she'll get on that little plane.
Yeah. Mm. And last... from GamesRadar.com, there's a Spider-Man horror film being made with Chandler Riggs as Peter Parker. You sent me that article. That's interesting.
I think he'd be a good Peter Parker.
He auditioned for Spider-Man Homecoming. That what's his name? Tom Holland got. Yeah. So he wanted to be Peter.
I love Tom Holland, but yeah. I think Chandler Riggs looks like Peter Parker.
He does, yeah. So this is a fan film, apparently. This guy, Andy Chen's writing and directing. He's been documenting the whole process on TikTok, so I'll put a link in the show notes. You can see Chandler jumping around on a bed to look like Spider-Man.
That's incredible.
And it's weird. It's a horror movie. I guess he did a horror-esque take on Shrek called Fiona, and he's done some other things that have gotten some attention. So I don't know if this will actually happen, but... keep an eye on it.
I want only good things for Chandler Riggs.
Absolutely.
I really, very much. He just, he deserved better, and he's incredibly sweet. So, yeah.
Truth. All right, let's get into some listener moans, groans, and grunts.
Brad Holt says, this was the episode that hooked me on an emotional level. Rick reuniting with Carl always makes me lose it. Oh, Brad.
For sure, I know. Dawn says, hello, I loved your first episode of The Walking Dead Rewatch. While I won't be actually watching each episode, I'll be listening to your show. I'm looking forward to more. Awesome.
Yay.
I know there's a few other people who've said that too. They don't, because they've already watched it several times,
Wendy Ann says, I'm watching episode 2 and can't get over how different the zombies are. Sniffing the humans, running, using rocks. In many ways, they were scarier, but they look weird after all the past episodes of our current zombies. I'm with you, Wendy. I think they do look strange compared to what we're used to, but in a good way.
Someone going by Amazing Gamer says, hi, Jason and Lucy. I'm Brett, and I'm a huge fan. I've recently been listening to your rewatches of the original season, and I was wondering, can you guys do a rating of your favorite characters of each season from every Walking Dead show? Thank you, guys. All right, Lucy, go.
Oh my God. I would love to. Season 1 is Lance Hornsby. And season 2 is Lance Hornsby.
Because we know he's there somewhere.
In season 3, it's Lance Hornsby. No.
Well, I don't even know for sure what you mean by this. Rating of your favorite characters, like you want us to tell you who our favorite, like just, I guess,
what our favorite character is,
like top
per
5
season.
Or something. Or, oh yeah. Favorite character.
So favorite character in each season.
We'll have to think about that.
Yeah. Season 1, Jim. I love Jim. I'm like Jim. We will think about that and get back to you, because that's actually quite a fun question to think about.
Yeah.
Lance Hornsby. Sam Lowe says, Daryl, I legit forgot what his face looked like without the curtain bangs. He has ears too. Don't look at me. I'm a girl. Oh, shut the fuck up, Laurie. Nothing against the actress. The writing was rough for her character. Also, forgot how weird it is to watch Shane I fuck Laurie in front of Carl. Ew, guys. Also, Sam, like, Laurie and Rick going at it in the tent with Carl beside them made me a little uncomfortable, so
I liked
relate.
it. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought it was awesome. No.
Laurie's like, oh no, he sleeps through everything. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's okay. He won't wake up. He didn't last night. I mean, what? No, nothing.
Right, you're right. Yeah, this tent's seen a lot.
This tent's seen some stuff. I noticed they had
funny.
a guidebook to Costa Rica in the tent there. I was like, I mean, okay, guys, you're not going to Costa Rica. I'm assuming that was in the tent, but whatever.
Jennifer McGinley says,
Yay.
Just look at him. Honey-colored hair, squeaky high strange voice like a Zed out Police Academy. Fucking sex on legs. Not watched this episode in a while, but stuck in my mind forever is the cringe scene with Shane talking to Carl about the frogs. Stupid dialogue. Well, sketchy delivery. Butt is clenching just thinking about it.
I'm with you. I thought Chandler was cute though when he does his little face. It was very sweet.
I like the whole thing. I liked Shane getting into trying to be a father figure and everything, knowing his backstory. You're like, you fucking bastard, but it was cute in the moment, I thought.
Gloria Lettery Hernan says, oh my god, I forgot how much I hated Merle. What a misogynist racist prick. Kind of wish he died up on that rooftop. Yep, I know I'm going to hell. Whatever, all my friends will be there. Pride flag and 2 of my kids. LOL. That
she has 3 kids.
And 2 of my kids. One of them's okay though. That reunion scene just about killed me. So many tears. Then that gross Walker eating that deer. Gross. Hey Daryl, nice to see you, hun. Too bad you're so rude to Dale. At least he told him about the brain. What an episode. So glad we're doing this again. Grrr. Zombie, zombie, zombie.
Nice.
Emoji.
Des, haven't heard from Des in a while. Des Combs says, every time I watch this one, I tear up at Chandler crying when Morales reunites with the family, and then I lose it when he sees Rick. For the willing suspension of disbelief department, Carrie just asked me, how is Carol ironing the laundry? Anyway, when the ladies are doing laundry and talking about personal pleasure devices, in my head, I hear Hee Haw Girl singing the gossip song. That's a callback. So there was a bit of a conversation about this, so I thought I'd read the whole thing. Danielle Dement Jost answered Des, Carol's using a cast iron that you heat on a fire, similar to the one Negan used on Dwight. That's such a funny way to talk about it. Oh,
interesting.
Right.
You know, the model that Negan used on Dwight.
That's so funny. Des says...
we didn't do our only in the Walking Dead moments, but I feel like this comment is my only in the Walking Dead moment.
Yeah, I like that. I forgot to do it too. I'll think of something. Des says, Danielle, that makes sense. Although, are they that common? Where would she have found one? Would that have been a priority when fleeing your house or scavenging? And Danielle says, along with all the other camping gear, I guess, although I've never known anyone who irons while camping.
I barely iron in my home. So yeah, word. Right. Des, you mentioned a thing that I really liked as well, which is that Laurie takes Carl away from all the reunions because it's too sad for him, and he's crying when Rick arrives because he's sad that his dad is dead. And I like that juxtaposition of him being so upset and then getting the ultimate dream come true moment. That's just lovely. Alma Contreras says, I like how this episode opens and ends on that rooftop. Even though Merle was not a good guy, I loved how he went through all the emotions as he sat handcuffed. One second he was imploring to Jesus, and the next he was mad, saying he wasn't going to beg. Rick reuniting with his fam gets me every time. Now, Shane was never one of my faves, but in this episode when he whoops Ed's ass was one of his heroic moments where I was like, yes, whoop his wife-beating ass. LOL, of course I knew it was more than that. He was also letting out his frustration over Laurie. This episode is one of my faves because it's so full and we get a better character peek into our group. Oh, and I can't forget to mention the intro of Daryl Dixon. Son of a bitch! Off the bay, Daryl is a larger-than-life character with some quick-witted lines. Love him. I'm so glad you guys are doing this rewatch. I'm having fun listening. Oh, thanks, Alma.
Yeah, I'm glad you're listening.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Shane also gets called a son of a bitch by Laurie. It's a popular one.
Dina says, The women, the women. The portrayal of women in these first 4 episodes just makes me cringe. This isn't the fault of the writers. The apocalypse has just started, and so the women remain in our prevailing societal gender roles, or even regress, I would say. That sounds like it's their fault, which I don't mean. But anyway, Jackie points this out with her brilliant reference to Gone with the Wind. Fortunately, this series doesn't, she mentions Hattie McDaniel.
Yeah.
Fortunately, this series doesn't keep women in those roles for long. Still, there are 2 women in our core group that die. Thank the stars, planets, and moon of Endor. Andrea, she constipates me. But hey, at least she can fish. And then there's Lori. I despise her. She says one thing and completely contradicts herself not a minute later. Then she blames everyone around her for her lack of conviction. When Daryl asks for directions to find Merle, Lori says he'll do better than that. He'll show you, pretty much telling Rick to take Daryl to the city. Then what does she do? Yells at Rick for leaving her to help a lowlife like Daryl. Huh? Arg. She's horrid. Good riddance, olive oil. Thus ends my rant. With much love to my favorite podcasters, Dina. P.S. Here's the link to the parody of the real smut that I wrote. Dina's the one who wrote the Daryl fan fiction that was pornographic, I guess. She says, I can't bring myself to share the real thing. If it's as horrid as Lori, I'd be mortified. So I don't know if this is something she wrote. It's a parody. I actually didn't check it out, but I'll put the link on the in the show notes and we can all check it out together.
Amazing.
And then beg Dina to give us the real thing.
Yay.
But I do want to point out that I read your message before I watched the episode. So then when I watched Lori when she says, when Daryl says he wants directions to find Merle and Lori says he'll do better than that, he'll show you, she seems not happy at all about that. She's not giving her permission. She's he'll do better than that, the asshole. He'll show you. Like, that's the kind of vibe she's giving out. So I think maybe the actress figured out that the dialogue was like that and tried to add something to it. Maybe, I don't know.
She's laying a trap. She's laying a trap for Rick to walk right into. Yeah. Danielle Dement Yost says, the opening managed to make me feel bad for Merle, almost. I had forgotten how moving Rick's reunion with Laurie and Carl was. I had tears. I always enjoyed seeing Rick and Shane fall right back into their police partnership when Daryl flipped out. I do feel bad for Laurie when Rick decides to go back for Merle. I suspect that Rick putting his job ahead of her has been a consistent issue. Carl always had such confidence in his dad right up to the end. He really idolized him. It's sweet. I never liked Laurie, but I do believe that she was faithful to Rick. She moved on really quickly, but considering the circumstances, I don't really hold it against her. I think Shane knew exactly what he was doing and manipulated the situation by telling Laurie that Rick was dead and swooping in to fill that void. Laurie put an end to her relationship with Shane immediately upon learning Rick was alive, so I really don't think she ever cheated. If she really felt anything for Shane, she would have believed him and given him more understanding about the situation. I think it was purely sex for the sake of an escape for Laurie, nothing more. It was much more to Shane. The ending of this episode is epic. I love Norman Reedus' performance upon seeing Merle's hand on the ground. He really started out being much more outwardly emotional, like crying a little when he first hears that Merle was left behind. Daryl has an interesting evolution. He becomes harder in some ways, but much softer in others. I guess he just becomes more genuine. It's quite nice,
yeah.
Danielle. Like
the way,
that.
yeah, he's lashing out. It just feels like he thinks I'm an outcast here. All these people are against me. And he's just like, fuck you all. But over time, when he starts to integrate, then he's not like that at all. You know, he's more connected.
Yeah. I'd love to have like a psychologist read on Daryl and like how he's grown up not knowing about emotional regulation and how that affects. Sorry. Oh my god. How that affects the way.
With this.
I'm so bored. I'm so bored. How his lack of emotional regulation affects the way he responds to things and how that changes. Because Merle's a hothead.
Send it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're a psychologist, write in. We want to know more.
I know there's a few listening. Carly Jackson says, hello, Jason and Lucy. I'm so glad you're doing a rewatch of The Walking Dead because I missed your coverage the first time around. Yay. I love the first 6 seasons of The Walking Dead. I've rewatched them many times. In your last episode, you were talking about Andrea, and I remember a few things about her that I can really relate to. There's one episode in season 1 where she pushes back against the gender roles adopted into the group. She decides she doesn't want to do the cooking and the laundry with the women. I think this is in season 2. She would prefer to sit up on top of the RV with a gun and protect the group. I can understand that. You could bet if the zombie apocalypse comes, the survivor chores will not be divided by gender in my community. Nice. And the other women are unforgivable because they criticize Andrea for opting out of the chores. I remember that. I'm like, what? Meanwhile, she and Amy catch a bunch of fish around that same time.
Yeah.
I really feel for Andrea in the show. I think she has the timing weird because I'm pretty sure, unless I'm wrong, but I think all this stuff happened in season 2 at the farm with Andrea.
The RV is season 2. The fish is season 1.
Yeah. I really feel for Andrea in the show. She never fit in with the group and she made some bad choices in sexual partners, but I completely understand why she was angry at Dale for coercing her into leaving the CDC. I understand her desire to learn how to use her gun to protect the group. I understand that maybe it didn't come easy to her and the rest of the group was not forgiving of her learning curve. I understand her desire to stay in Woodbury because it was clean and civilized rather than dodge walkers in the woods with Michonne. If I found a town with high walls, I would want to stay and fix any corruption inside rather than go back to that hand-to-mouth survival. Of course, she didn't know that the governor would murder his own people. When she finally learned how horrible he was, she did try to escape him. As Jason said, show people as they really are. I think Andrea was an accurate picture of a successful woman grappling with the collapse of society. I love all of that, but I want you to write in and tell me what you think of Andrea leaving that knife with Beth in season 2, who was suicidal.
I wonder though, I think Carly might have answered that already though, because she's reminded me of something I'd forgotten, which is Andrea being angry at Dale for not letting her make the decision to end her life in the CDC and taking that away from her. And I wonder if with Beth, she's being reactive and giving her what Dale didn't give her.
I get that, but
it's still crap.
Beth is
like it's still not good that she did it.
Teenager, and she told Beth's sister that she would watch over her.
Yeah, not great, not great.
I don't know. I mean, I understand this whole thing is debatable for sure, but I come pretty hard down on one side of that debate.
Andrea was the first Negan.
But I do, Carly, thank you for writing that. I thought that was really smart and interesting, and I hope you write more.
We have another email here or message from Christy Fleming from Toronto, Ontario. Christy says, "Hi, Jason and Lucy. I am thoroughly enjoying revisiting my favorite series. I decided to celebrate the 13-year anniversary by rewatching the pilot on, of course, Halloween. Even wrote in my 13-year-old son, who was born just 1 week before the original premiere. Suffice to say that I missed the first season, the whole new baby thing. Well, 11 months later, I was preparing to return from maternity leave. My apologies to any American listeners, but we do get a year of maternity leave north of the border.
I think the husbands do too, right?
I couldn't confirm or verify that, but I believe it's more generous in Canada for men too.
Months.
I had spent a year watching nothing but ultra vivid, colourful, sparkly toddler television and felt a desperate need for something, how can I put this, darker. Cut to the creepy violin music and my indoctrination into all things zombie related began. 13 years later, and the scene with Morgan trying to take out his wife while Rick mercifully puts down Bicycle Girl never fails to wreck me. Lenny James is an absolute treasure. While watching, my husband and I played a little game. Anytime we saw an old character, we would see who could remember how they died first. Good times. Can't wait for the next episode.
Only in The Walking Dead. There's mine.
Only in The Walking Dead. There's yours. Can't wait for the next episodes where we get to meet Daryl and see the look of complete nausea on Rick's face when Daryl performs an impromptu walker autopsy to see what it ate. I do believe that wasn't acting, and a trip to Greg Nicotero's artistically realistic guts. Thanks again for being awesome and fun leaders of our Deadhead community, Christy. P.S. Jason, thanks to your recommendations in the original episodes of the podcast, I did read The Girl with All the Gifts this summer, and I couldn't put it down.
Such a great book.
It's such a good book.
If you look up Mike Carey on podcastica.com, you'll find an interview I did with him about that book.
Amazing.
And the movie. Nice. That was awesome. All right. A couple of calls. here's one from Randy.
Ooh, hi Randy.
Hey, Jason and Lucy. This is Randy from Maine. I'm here for the Walking Dead No Prize. No Prize is a fake prize given out by Marvel Comics to people who find and explain away continuity errors. While you two rewatch, I'm going to try my best to give a plausible explanation to some of those little things in the show that don't quite make sense.
Amazing.
This week's, why did Glenn call them walkers if he hasn't met Morgan yet? Well, Morgan calls them walkers, but he most likely picked up this term from the news. I saw in an early script for Days Gone By that Morgan talks about learning information from the news. This doesn't appear in the finished episode, but it's safe to assume while he and his family are holed up early on, they're watching the news. Most likely, they were watching a local news coverage so they knew exactly what was happening around them. News media likes a catchy name, and a local reporter, after saying, "the dead that are getting up and walking," too many times, probably started referring to them as walkers. Glenn, being from the area, probably saw some of this local coverage as well. And since the zombie apocalypse happened so quickly, the term didn't get a chance to spread too far beyond Atlanta. I know. You're asking, well then why does Glenn also call them geeks? Well, for one, he's a funny guy. But he's also interacted with more people since the start than Morgan has. Not everyone would have seen the local news or automatically picked up on the term walkers. So Glenn probably heard other names, and the terms would get mixed into his vocabulary until societal influences guided him to an agreed-upon term. Rick, who he just met, being one of those powerful influences. Hence why he eventually fully adopts the moniker walkers, and why other groups don't necessarily call them walkers. This is canon, by the way, now, and you can't argue with me, because I'm a voice recording, and I can't hear you. Yeah, you want to say that to my face? Nah, I didn't think so. Thanks for the coverage. Loving getting to do a rewatch with you guys. Ta-ta!
Ta-ta!
I was about to say I was sorry that Margaret hadn't been in touch.
That's great. I think you should do that no prize thing with Fear the Walking Dead. That'll keep you busy.
Randy.
Just
run away.
Don't
run
do that.
away, man.
No.
Run away.
I love the news thing. God, the way my brain works, I always think of contradictions. And the only thing that came up like that for me is I think that's great that they were calling them that on the news and that's why it caught on. But then why didn't it catch on with more people? Like every group we see, they're calling them some other weird name. But anyway, I forget that. I like that a lot. That does make a lot of sense. I think geek, I'm not sure about this, but I think they might have called zombies geeks in some other zombie movie. And it was
they did
like a tribute, right? But in story, it's because Glenn's a funny guy. I like that.
I am thinking about the scene in Anchorman with all the local news networks fighting. And I'm like, they all have different names for walkers.
I gotta watch that again. You keep referencing it, and I haven't seen it in so long. Yeah,
we rewatched it recently. I was listening to another podcast, and someone, I think it was Michael Hobbs, said, like, "God, do you remember the world before the internet? It was not before the internet. It was like before social media. It was all of us just endlessly quoting Anchorman." And I'm like, I never stopped. I'm still doing that.
That's great. Well, I gotta watch it now, so I won't miss your quotes. Thank you, Randy. Please more. We love it.
Mm-hmm.
And then Colin, we complimented his voice, asked him if he was a singer. He said he was. So now he sent in a sample.
No, amazing.
Yeah. He says, here's my Chris Cornell's Patience. Hope you all enjoy. I don't know if Colin knows this, but Patience was originally Guns N' Roses, but I checked and Chris Cornell also did a cover. Maybe he sounds more like Chris Cornell. That's why he said that. But anyway, I've not heard this. That was incredible, dude.
Oh, he's got pipes. I love it.
That took some guts in that.
Oh my God. And very Cornell. I like that.
I like it.
Yes.
I love that song too. I've always
Thank you,
song.
Colin. That was brilliant.
Thank you, Colin. Everybody else, you now have the bar set.
We will now only be responding to feedback in musical format.
In sung format, yeah.
I do a really good Tom Waits. No, I'm joking. It's pretty bad.
I can't.